Let's speak to Hannah Weisfeld, who is Executive Director and founder of Yachad, a British Jewish organisation whose primary mission is to empower British Jews to support a political resolution to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. Thank you for joining us on LBC News this evening. This goes on, doesn't it, for these families?
Yeah, I mean, I think that we're kind of reaching a point where the news is becoming so difficult for these families to tolerate that, and some of your listeners may have heard that overnight there have been reports that say somewhere between 29 and 32 of the hostages that remain are potentially no longer alive. That the overwhelming majority of them and their families are saying, at all costs, you need to bring them home now, because the chances of them coming home alive, it gets slimmer each day that they're there for.
It does feel something of a stalemate, doesn't it, in a way, because Israel does not want to stop going after Hamas while the hostages are still being held, and the two sides don't really want to budge, do they? Where do we go with this?
Well, I mean, it does appear on face value to be a stalemate. However, the negotiations are ongoing and they are responding to each other, which is actually in and of itself an improvement on kind of several weeks ago where there was stalemates, where they just refused to talk with each other. And so there is a growing sense of that they are very slowly inching towards some kind of deal of some sort. The issue is going to be over whether the ceasefire is permanent and what guarantees the international community will give around that, and also who Israel will have to release from Israeli prisons in return, and whether they're prepared to release convicted terrorists who potentially have been convicted of injuring or killing Israelis. But the mood, just to add, the mood in Israel is increasingly, from the vast majority of Israelis, that they want a deal to bring them home, even if it means releasing terrorists out of prison and ending the war. That there are protests restarting this week on the streets against the government to kind of take them out of power.
Yeah, and in a way, politics on both sides has got a bit more extreme, hasn't it, in recent years? That the government of Benjamin Netanyahu is considered to be rather more extreme than the Israeli government was a little while ago. Similarly, on the other side, Hamas, of course, are extremists. That's the way that they are referred to, designated by the UK government as a terrorist organisation.
Yeah, I mean, the thing that I kind of has almost been lost from the news cycle, inevitably, is that until October the 6th, there were mass protests on the streets in Israel against the current government of Israel. So there were hundreds of thousands of people who came out, I think, for 42 weeks in a row, hundreds of thousands of people on the streets every Saturday night protesting against the current government of Israel and against their attempts to undermine the judiciary in Israel and undertake other kind of interventions that would have undermined Israeli democracy. And so this was not a popular government on October the 7th when Hamas attacked. And I think there is a growing sense inside Israel that it's really not clear what the aims of the war are. So, the Israeli government has said we need to bring our hostages home and we're trying to eliminate Hamas. But increasingly, there are signs that, A, the hostages are not coming home and they have not come home as a result of the war. And two, the idea that Hamas is going to be completely eradicated from Gaza is increasingly being seen as an unrealistic expectation, and that would entrench Israel in Gaza for, who knows how long, with great loss of life on the Israeli side as well.
Hannah Weisfeld from Yachad, thank you very much for joining us on LBC News tonight.